That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I'm somewhat disheartened to read your headline, despite the fact the Gallant report, all 500 plus pages of it has come out. You write, "Will it even matter?" What do you mean?
Well, I mean, listen, I don't know about you, but when I heard the announcement, when I heard Mr. Gallant basically, there were no real surprises there, to tell you the truth. And I have to tell you, the one question that I've been raising from day one, the one that has, as far as I'm concerned, is the most fundamental question here. We're being told, the managers of the SAAQ were lying to the government for years, okay? And I don't know. I mean, I don't lie for a living. I've made a living out of trying to poke through people's lies. But the one thing that gets me in this entire story, it isn't even the $500 million, even though that is the issue, that will figure down the road. How comfortable do you have to be to sit there and lie over and over and over again? How cozy must your situation be within government, within the bureaucracy, within the attitude, within a system that apparently does not have sufficient oversight that you can basically you can mismanage $500 million out the window and still sort of like turn around and say, well, it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault. And of course, the other question that poses itself is, yes, we're all hopping up and down and whatever, but how many other sack clicks are there going on that we don't know about? It stuff that they did get away with. They did chop up the size of the contract. They were able to hide the cost overruns, justified or otherwise. This is the real issue. And for Francois Legault to turn around and shake his fist and say, well, I'm going to talk to my team. We'll see what kind of legal.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it against the law to lie to the government? Were they under oath? I mean, you could get them for perjury, I guess. But not telling or not giving the government the whole picture, my God, if that was a crime, the jails would be pretty full, buddy. But all that said, I really have a feeling that by this weekend, Quebecers who have been, let's face it, saturated with news and headlines and sac-click for like almost a year now, are just going to say, okay, fine, whatever, we'll wait for the results of your inquiry, Monsieur Legault, who, by the way, is still limping and quacking, right? He's not even going to be in charge after April 12th. Louise Clochette has turned around and essentially said the same thing and said, if I become premier, these people will be brought before justice. And I say once again, please give me some details on what exactly you're going to do to them.
Does that mean provincial ministers, Jim, as well?
Yeah, exactly. Or even bureaucrats. I mean, brought in front of justice how? Are you going to try and sue them to get the money back? Are you going to take criminal proceedings against them? Because then we're on very, very creaky ground indeed. Because, as I say, what my sonar every time a headline came out on SAC-Click wasn't criminal activity. It was simple incompetence. Not simple, but endemic, ingrained, traditional incompetence, which is certainly a hallmark, but not limited to this particular government. And as I say, will Quebecers think that, we've turned a corner on this one, we will no longer put up with this? Yeah. I'm not entirely sure about that at all, my friend.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's been one disaster after another. And I'm not sure that necessarily there was any malfeasance in Northvolt. I'm not suggesting there was, or even in Lyon necessarily. But you add them all up, and it's billions of dollars down the drain by the time we're done. So to find out that in the case of SAC-Click specifically, I don't know, was it the left hand, Jim, didn't know what the right hand was doing or chose not to tell the right hand what it was doing?
Well, exactly. And what about the apparent attempt to put the health ministry's operations online? I mean, we heard about that for a while, but then it stopped because I guess everyone was busy covering SAC-Click. But are the same issues gonna come up there? Will there be more oversight? Because I'm not entirely sure how much attention any government any regime can pay when A, they're in the middle of a leadership campaign, and then they're going straight to a provincial election.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll wait and see what happens. But I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. But something tells me this is not the last time you and I will be talking about a situation like this, be it in the Quebec or indeed the federal government. There just seems to be a culture of insouciance, which, as you quite rightly point out, can cost taxpayers billions of dollars.
I wonder too. We're going to have Monsef Daraji on later in the show, so this is a chance for the opposition to finally stand up and kind of say something. It's interesting, and I know it has to work in terms of who's the critic, etc. Do you think this would be a great opportunity for Charles Milliard, who's been Liberal leader for all of one day, to actually say, okay, look, here's what happened here, here's what I'm going to do, etc. I haven't heard anything yet.
Neither have I, and in fact, I've heard from the Parti Québécois. And they were pretty quick off the ground. Now, I don't know if he's leaving it to the government or the opposition, i.e. the elected wing, the caucus, or whether he doesn't know what route to take. I don't know. But as you quite rightly point out, we haven't heard from him, at least on that topic. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But let's face it, I hope this is not part of a change. And it's not a matter of me having skin in the game with the Liberals. Honestly, anyone who listens to this show knows I'm not a fan. But the bottom line here is, okay, you got the job, you got the gig, start playing, buddy, because the show's going on without you. And you're quite right. If there was ever a day where we should have been hearing Charles Milliard, even if he's just reciting the usual outrage, Aaron, it means he's on the map, he's on the board, he's in the game, and we haven't heard anything yet.
What's that number? They did a survey. 2/3 of Quebecers say they don't even really know who he is.
This ain't exactly helping.
Yeah. Look, with respect to what you wrote about Milliard, you wrote, what's his line, respecting Quebecers with another language? What was that about?
Well, he gives this interview to TVA. I know it's early days. I know he's just coming off of this love fest up in Trois-Rivières. He's got the coronation, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And he says, well, he's talking about, he believes in state secularism, but he sidesteps the whole issue of religious symbols in the public service or in daycares. And then and it's the last line in the story, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, or maybe I should be reading more into it, but he's asked about, Bill 96. He says, well, I'm going to continue to defend French, which is still threatened, but while expecting, and I want to be clear, les autres Québécois qui ont une autre langue. And I'm thinking, well, we're not talking about people here whose second language is, I don't know, Swahili. We're talking about Anglophone Quebecers. We're talking about a law that specifically targets Anglophone institutions. And you seem to be giving that the back of your hand. Now, I know the challenge he faces to win over Francophone voters. He's got to woo Francophone voters. But you know what? I seem to recall a Quebec Liberal Party that was able to walk with pride out in the regions, the utterly Francophone regions, and still not have to say that, les Anglais sont une menace pour l'identité québécoise. Now, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you know what, Mr. Milliard, can you let us know where you stand sooner rather than later? Because I think a lot of people listening right now, I would suggest, you're on probation, buddy. Because we've had a lot of leaders come and go, and a lot of people have said all kinds of nice things about, everyone's a Quebecer, blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden there's an election campaign, and it's bonsoir les Anglais, It's like, okay, I understand that's a pragmatic approach, but as I say, there was a time when it wasn't necessary. There wasn't an either-or. When it came to appealing to Quebec voters based on their language, it was an either-or depending on whether you're appealing to Quebec voters based on your policy. And I hope we have not been steered into that corner by the likes of François Legault and Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, that the Quebec Liberal Party now is simply going to say, well, everyone else is doing it, so we have to do it as well. Because at that point, my friend, everything has been a waste of time. And quite frankly, if you want to find a way to guarantee that you are going to stay the Liberal Party of the West Island of Montreal, try and pull a stunt like that, because guess what? There are two other parties that are already doing it, and they're way better at it than you are.
By the way, I will point out, I remember talking to him a couple of weeks ago when I asked a question about Bill 96. I actually bit of a head scratcher when he said there are parts of it that, once he becomes leader, that he would consider perhaps changing. And I thought, you know what, the standard answer is, well, of course, we're going to get rid of Bill 96. It was the way he said it, Jim, which was, again, just a bit odd to me, right?
Yeah.
Suggesting that, no, there are things in there that are good. We're going to leave them in. I'm like, well, what are they? I mean, I didn't ask the question,
exactly.
but it struck me as odd.
Well, but this is it. I mean, the whole rationale behind 96 was to find more irritants to antagonize the Anglophone community in Quebec. End of story.
Yeah.
Bill 101 was doing the job. This whole idea, French is threatened and blah, blah, blah. And, okay, we've gone through that. But the bottom line in all of this is that, please, Monsieur Milliard, let us know where you stand sooner rather than later. That is all, because honestly, I don't presume to speak for anyone other than myself, but I would suspect that the non-Francophone community of Montreal is now punch drunk over the number of petty, vindictive, nickel and dime laws that this government passed. They are not chiseled into stone. I can understand if you're walking on eggshells with Bill 21, with the whole idea of secularism, but I'll bet you folding money that the vast majority of Francophone Quebecers don't give a damn about the provisions of Bill 96. As long as French is protected, they don't need this kind of pettiness, this kind of officialization of you can be an anonymous rat and call the inspectors on some company that maybe you just don't like, but say, listen, I'm seeing English in there's some violation of regulations. If you want to have that society going, well, okay, that's fine. If you endorse that, Monsieur Milliard, like I say, let us know sooner rather than later.
Real quick, Jim, I started the question. I'm going to come back to it now, asking about the idea of Montreal potentially hosting the 2038 Winter Olympics. We're in the running because the Swiss may not end up doing it. I'm a big proponent. I think we do it. What do you think?
Oh, no.
So that's a maybe is what I'm getting. Okay.
No, come on.
Okay, all right.
It would put us into another galaxy in terms of debt.
No,
it would get,
no.
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah,
it wouldn't, Jim.
yeah.
No,
yeah,
we make money hosting Olympics now.
Oh, and I'll bet you know what? Well, we can no more lose money on the next Olympics than
Jim?
a man can have a baby. Is that what you're trying to say,
It's
Aaron?
not 1976 anymore.
No, it isn't. We should know better.
We do know better. That's why we should consider hosting a games.
Okay, Aaron.
And watch the economic spin-off pour into the city of Montreal.
Have you already started up a T-shirt for this?
That's fine. No, not yet. Good idea, though. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Thank you, Jim.
Matt.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years. And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.